gallium will not work for my task of gluing my real silicon sample to the sapphire inside the vacuum chamber. So instead he said, why don't you use APAs on grease? It's got a really low vapor pressure, like somewhere around 10 to the negative 11th. It's more thermally conductive than the wax, and of course it's grease. It's semi-liquid at room temperature, so there's no problems in applying that. So he said, why don't you spread some grease on the back of the sample, or spread it on the sapphire and then put the silicon on top of the grease. The grease works really well, actually, to hold things down a lot better than I expected in sort of the vertical plane. So, like, if I try to pick up the silicon, it does require a fair amount of force. I mean, I did pick it up. It's not like it's glued down, but as in, you can flip it upside down, you can shake the sapphire around, it sticks in place. So this is my sample. This is the sapphire, this is the copper stage, this is the very, very heavy, I'm not quite sure what to call it, but it's like the lid that fits on top of the hole in the vacuum chamber. The grease also had to hold that in place, my sample in place, while I was putting the indium dots on it, which requires moderate amount of pressure, mostly in the in and out of the plane direction, so that would be good. Just if I slipped and like pushed my sample off, that would be a problem. Professor Smith said, why don't you just use the grease? So that's what I did, and I tested it twice over a period of a few hours. Like, I put the test sapphire and the test piece of silicon so that the silicon was vertical, so that if the grease was going to let it slip, it would do that with my test and I would know it. But it didn't. It worked.